This is Editor's Take. I'm Sakshi Batra and I have with me Gaurav Chaudhary. He's the Deputy Executive Editor of Money Control, and we are here to talk about the latest suggestions done by the Ministerial Panel with respect to MSMEs on exemption of the threshold limit, hiking the exemption threshold limit under GST now. Thanks very much, Gaurav, for joining in now. As per the latest meeting, we got to hear that there are many suggestions, taken by the Ministerial Panel with respect to MSMEs. First of all, how much exemption limit has been discussed over here and the hiking of this limit at all, and how will this really help the entire sector?
Yeah, so the micro, small and medium enterprises have actually been, lobbying and have been pitching for a higher threshold limit. Currently, the threshold limit is at 20 lakh rupees of an annual turnover. What it effectively means that any firm which is registered under GST and has an annual turnover of 20 lakhs or less is not required to pay GST.
Correct.
But there has been a growing chorus of demand that this threshold limit should be raised. The GST Council had previously decided to form a ministerial panel, a group of ministers comprised from within the state finance ministers to comprise the GST Council, and this GoM has now decided that the threshold limit should be raised. Having said that, however, the GoM itself has not decided on the exact threshold that needs to be raised from 20 lakh rupees. Because they have different suggestions. Delhi, for instance, wanted it to be raised to 40 lakhs. Bihar wanted it 50 lakhs. There was another suggestion that the threshold should be fixed in a manner that those earning between 50 to 75 lakhs annually should be paying a flat GST of about 5,000 rupees or something to that effect. So while the GoM decided a threshold should be raised, that's an in-principle recommendation. The exact threshold has not been decided on, and it has left it to the council to decide when it meets on January 10th.
Absolutely, and you pointed it right that all the concerns of the MSME sector are out there in front of us, and the Modi government has been taking a lot of steps to actually prop up the whole sector. Now the exact threshold has not been discussed. What are some of the other proposals that have been made by the group of ministers yesterday to ease their compliance burden?
So the compliance burden has been a hot button issue so far as GST is concerned, especially for MSMEs. Ever since GST kicked in from July 1, 2017, MSMEs it has been pointed out that MSMEs have been the worst sufferers for rolling out a GST which had many design flaws, which have been ironed out along the way, to be very fair to the government and the GST Council. Over the last 18 months, many changes have been brought about, and one of the changes that has been one of the issues that experts have been pointing out is that MSMEs have to go through carry a lot of compliance pain while filing for GST.
Sure.
And one of that is that even companies with very low annual turnover, say anywhere between 25 lakhs or anywhere between 20 lakhs to 50 lakh rupees, have to file GST returns, which increases their compliance costs significantly, which is something probably avoidable. And that is the reason the GST group of ministers decided to raise the threshold limit. Although the threshold will be decided by the GST Council, it should be somewhere between 50 to 60 lakh rupees, I assume. And once the threshold limit is raised of exemption, that is going to significantly bring down compliance, because they will not be required to file GST in any case.
All right, so this will be a big booster for the MSME if the GST Council actually decides to go ahead and hikes the exemption threshold for them. But what could be the revenue implication of this?
The revenue implications have not yet been decided. I'm sure the GoM would have talked about and also went through the nuts and bolts of what could be the possible revenue implications. In any case, if it is as and when it is implemented, the date of implementation will be also decided by the GST Council. A large part of the revenue implication will be rolled over to the next year, next financial year, which is 19-20. And if actually, I would assume that both the GoM and the GST Council will be basing or predicating this decision on the principle that if compliance improves, collections will actually improve, so this could kind of offset the negative fiscal implications that a higher threshold could bring about. Having said that, the timing of this decision could actually be interpreted as some kind of a poll stop, because it comes just barely 2.5 to 3 months ahead of the Lok Sabha elections, and MSMEs, as we know, is a large constituency that the government or any political party cannot wish to ignore.
Absolutely, and the government is definitely taking a lot of steps over there to ease their compliance burden for sure. But going forward, I mean, yesterday there was another ministerial panel which actually talked about the disaster cess, which has been in the talks for quite some time now. What's the update on that?
So that was another GoM, and that GoM decided to empower states to impose a cess specifically to fund their reconstruction, rehabilitation efforts in wake of a natural calamity. But they have given a ceiling of cess, and the cess cannot exceed more than 1%. The respective state governments will be empowered to decide on the exact quantum of cess, anywhere between 1% or lesser than that. And also, it is up to the respective state governments whether to make it an across the board cess or impose the cess on specific goods and services.
Yes.
Kerala, for instance, which actually proposed this and have been pressing for this in wake of the unprecedented floods that devastated the state in the summer months this year. Will now be allowed to, once it is decided, will now be allowed to impose the cess of up to 1% on specific goods and services that are transacted within the state's geographical territory. And the funds so raised will specifically be used only for reconstruction and rehabilitation efforts in wake of a natural calamity.
Right. Thanks a lot then, Gaurav, for sharing all these insights with us. Well, 2 impending decisions now before the GST Council, and that is expected to take a call on both of these issues on January 10th when it meets next the entire council. Thanks very much for joining us in this edition of Editor's Take, and do stay logged on to moneycontrol.com for more news and updates. Thanks for watching.